What's up, everybody? We are back with another review. This time, instead of a new game, it is a remake or remaster of a remaster. Today, we're talking about Gears of War Reloaded, which is essentially a remake or remaster of Gears Ultimate Edition, which was the same thing for the original version that came out in 2006, that came out in 2015, and here we are in 2025, once again rehashing the same game. Now, I didn't play the Ultimate Edition, just skipped it. It was kind of in a valley of my gaming love, and now we're back up on a peak, so of course I had to go revisit it. And the original Gears of War was one of my favorite games growing up. I was 11 when it came out, so this was kind of reliving my childhood. Today we are talking specifically for the campaign. We'll have a multiplayer video come out within the next few days, but so we're going to do our normal pros, sos, and sos and cons, starting off with the cons. First of all, the game did just feel outdated. I know that, this is a remaster or remake, essentially, of the 2015 game, which was a remake or remaster of the 2006 game. And just things felt outdated. The cover system, which is very good in this game for its time in 2006, just felt like it could have been tweaked, where sometimes you get a little sucked into or stuck on coverage. Some of the animations weren't very great, which you would think if they're remaking a game for a second time, maybe they would fix some of those animations because they weren't super great. Just stuff like that. Some of the controls felt wonky, and it just felt like an old game that had slightly upgraded graphics. And I mentioned controls back as Ricky in my chat, one of my mods and one of my gaming friends, pointed out. When this game originally came out, there was no kind of standard controls like there is nowadays, where you go into shooter games and you expect controls to all be kind of the same. There was no real standard among games then. It wasn't expected. So being a remake of a game that came out in 2006, it makes sense that the controls were a little wonky. But once you play the game, you get used to them. Or if you're a longtime Gears fan, of course, you get used to them pretty quickly, but they just feel wonky, and you can change the control settings. But I usually play games, especially when I want to review them, on default, so I can talk about the games as they are, because a lot of gamers don't go in and mess with control settings and all of that. The next one is animation speed, and this is another thing that is maybe just new gamer brain getting in the way here, but the animations for everything in this game are so slow. Throwing guns, pulling up your chainsaw when you have the Lancer assault rifle, just all of the animations are so slow. And of course, you can argue, well, that makes the game harder, whether that's multiplayer campaigns, so skill gap, or learn to adjust, blah, blah, blah. But just when games nowadays have so much quicker animation speeds for so many things, it's just something that's noticeable. And then finally is performance. I played on a PC that has a 5070, 9800 X3D, 64 gigabytes of RAM. So not a slouch PC. And cutscenes were 30-ish FPS, and I got 60 or 61 FPS during playtime. Now I was recording and streaming, so it takes away some resources, and I did have it on the highest settings that are on default. So I don't think it's ultra. I think it's just high settings. And then I know I was looking. Some people on Twitter and stuff were playing on console and saying the game was a mess on console, performance-wise, and so the performance is definitely a con here. Moving on to the so-sos is the graphics. In 2015, these graphics would have been good, but that's kind of where the buck stops for them being good graphics. Some of the up-close stuff is pretty detailed, but not like mind-blowingly detailed. So I didn't put this in the cons because the graphics are still good for a remake that isn't a full remaster. But the graphics by 2025 standards just aren't that good. They look good for 2015 when the Ultimate Edition came out. Moving on to the so-so is the co-op. I like games that have co-op campaigns. I think it is a good thing to have in games. I think co-op is kind of a lost art. So many games are just purely single player or PvP. So I like that they have co-op. But why this is in the so-sos and not the pros is because sometimes the co-op, the game, you can tell they didn't want to make essentially two versions for when you play by yourself or when you play with somebody else. And there was just things like just Dom would just not come with you because this is set up for co-op where he's supposed to come with you, or just little things like, and this isn't a complaint, but just like too much ammo around because it's supposed to have enough ammo for two people. and just little hang-ups or things take longer because they're tasks that are meant to be able to also be for two people, not just one person. And so you just have little things like that where instead of making, NPC AI Dom better, they make him kind of brainless at times. And things take a little bit longer when you play solos because they don't adjust the game for having it solo or co-op. And then my final so-so that I added afterthought was the Ultimate Edition missions. So there is 4 chapters at the beginning of Act 5 that were not in the OG game. So they were new to me. I had not played them before. Like I said, I've only played the OG first Gears and not the Ultimate Edition, which is part of what led me to play the Reloaded. And the Ultimate Editions are fine, but they don't really add very much. They don't really add much, but then they're just fine. So if they were like amazing but didn't add too much to the story, I guess it'd be hard for them to be amazing. But if they were just amazing but didn't add much to the story, maybe they'd be in the pros because they were really fun. But they were just whatever. They weren't anything spectacular, anything special. And the campaign is short. I finished it in like 5 hours and 41 or 42 minutes. It's a short campaign. And without those, it would have been, 5 hours and 15 minutes, 5 hours even. And so fine, keep them in there because they were in the Ultimate Edition, but they didn't really add very much. And they just felt like filler mission just to give you a little extra time. And maybe they threw them in there because they were in the Ultimate Edition and I didn't play the Ultimate Edition, but the Ultimate Edition probably didn't need them either. So moving on to pros. First pro is if you are around my age, I'm 30 currently, you were into shooter games and were allowed to play them. I know not a lot of 11-year-olds are allowed to play Gears of War, but if you were, this game definitely hits hard with the nostalgia factor. This was one of the early big shooter games, whether that was just in terms of being a big franchise or online multiplayer. This was up there at one time, kind of into the Halo COD realm, probably just a little below it. But it was up there in terms of a big franchise. It's one of the few long-lasting Xbox exclusives. And this being one of the games that helped me really fall in love with gaming at one point, the nostalgia wave was huge. Whether it was the characters like Cole, Cole's my favorite character, but just like Cole, or just feeling like going into this game not playing the Ultimate Edition, just kind of remembering things that I had forgotten about as I went, seeing that the original game came out 19 years ago. The nostalgia wave was huge. The next pro I have on here is agency, being able to make your own choices. This kind of goes into the co-op. There's a lot of paths where you get to choose left or right. And, of course, you choose, if you were playing co-op, whoever is the party leader, essentially, even though it's just 2 of you, would say, hey, which one do you want? Which one do I want? And then you guys could pick. But being able to choose, especially if you're solo, is nice because although it doesn't change the story, like we talk about some reviews and some games where you get to make choices, it can help keep the gameplay fresh if you want to play the campaign over again because, hey, maybe you went left on all the paths, now you're going to go right on all the paths, and although it's not wildly different, it does mix up the gameplay. And part of that agency goes into the next pro, where there was a tutorial, but if you were experienced and had played before, or you just remembered, or just, hey, I don't care about tutorials, when you very first start the game, you have an option to go one path or the other. One path is the tutorial. The other path gets you right to where you are right after the tutorial. And so, that goes into the agency. But any game that has a tutorial, I always highlight that. And you could argue maybe putting this so-so or less of a pro because, it doesn't talk about the active reload. It doesn't talk to you about using the Lancer to saw enemies, and I swear the original game did, but I'm probably tripping on that. But it just leaves out little things that are fun mechanics in the game, or when enemies are like in the crawling, kneeling state, the executions. It just didn't talk about everything, but I like having a tutorial nonetheless because it highlighted all of the important stuff you need to know for gameplay. And then a final pro, this is a small one, but the writing is good. The story was pretty good. It's not amazing, but it was pretty good. But the humor, I chuckled a lot playing this game, and I liked the humor, and so I wanted to put the writing in there because I do think the writing's good, the characters are interesting, and the story's pretty interesting. It's not the most interesting story in the world. It doesn't, have a bunch of twists and turns and crazy plots, but it is interesting, and the character lines are pretty good for the most part, but the humor made me laugh a lot. But I kind of like some corny, cheesy humor, and it did kind of have that. So overall, I thought the game was really good. You know, like I said, I didn't play the Ultimate Edition, so I can't compare it to the Ultimate Edition, but it really scratched that nostalgia itch and really reminded me of how much I loved the Gears of War game originally. Originally, I had played the second one, and I think I played Gears 3, but I didn't play like 4. I didn't play anything that came after Gears 3. So I'm hoping they remaster all of the Gears games eventually, and I'm super excited for E-Day. From a campaign standpoint, considering everything with the cons of it feeling outdated, the control scheme being wonky, the animation speed being slow, and the performance being crappy, the so-sos, the graphics just look good for like 2015, but not so much in 2025 anymore. The co-op being overly invasive in the game design, the Ultimate Edition missions being bland, and the pros and the nostalgia, making your own choices, your agency, the tutorial being included, and the writing. Overall, this isn't like a mind-blowing game like it was when it came out in 2006 because the landscape has changed so much, and at the end of the day, this is just a remake of a remake. I'd have to give it like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. If you are nostalgic for Gears of War, at least from a campaign perspective, I think it's worth the money. I think it was $40. I know it wasn't a full 60 or 70. It was like 40 or 50. And nowadays that's a cheap game. So if you're really itching for that nostalgia of Gears of War, I definitely think it's worth the money. If you've never played Gears of War games, if you feel like the price is not a lot, then it's probably worth the money. But if you just have some interest in Gears, or you liked it and didn't love it back when it originally came out, I would say wait for it to go on some kind of sale. I do think it was a good game and the campaign was fun. And of course, I haven't gotten into the multiplayer at this time of the review, which I plan on doing the afternoon this review gets uploaded on Twitch, which is linked down below, by the way. But I would recommend it if you're into Gears and you don't think the price is bad. If you're not into Gears, wait for it to go on sale if it's something that's interesting to you, but you're not like dying to play it. But it is definitely worth playing, at least from the campaign aspect. But those are my thoughts on the Gears of War Reloaded campaign. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like this type of content. You know, we do review content, Apex content, COD content. If you like that type of content and you want to see it first, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. And comment down below what you think of Gears of War Reloaded, the Gears franchise in general, anything Gears related. Or if you think I should go back and check out Gears 4 and beyond. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And link down below, like I said, I have my Twitch. I have all my socials. I have my single player YouTube channel, my car socials if you're into cars, and my car YouTube channel if you want to check that out and support me anywhere else. Or do all the things to support me here. I really do appreciate it. But I will see you in the next review. Have a good day. Bye.
Oh yeah.
God, this game does feel dated, but I'm okay with that to relive some nostalgia. I'm glad I never played God, what was the re-release they did like some years ago? Glad I didn't play that because I might remember more of the campaign. I'm kind of glad I don't really remember much.
Control, this is Delta. We have visuals on Alpha. Possible KIA. No sign of Resonator.
Roger that, Delta. Keep looking.
I'll open the door. I've got the code. Come get me. Nice.
Oh, that missed completely.
Nice.
I had to get one of these in. The Ultimate Edition with the Master Rex one. Yeah.
I think I got some in my eye.
I certainly was like not as into gaming as I am now. This is like the last few years have been like my second wave of like being addicted to gaming.
I hope that's not Rojas down there. His little boy just turned 2 last week.